don't know what I'm doing. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Amaculent Mindset YouTube channel, the most imperfectly perfect place on the internet, because that is what it means to be immaculate, to be perfectly imperfect. And I am Allie Amac McGuire. As I always like to remind everybody, I do not have any of the answers. I only have questions and tools that I've built to help myself answer my questions for me. So if any of this resonates with you and it helps you, please like and subscribe this channel so I can reach more people. This week, we are going to talk about identifying pain points. Ooh, I really like this one. Let me show it to you. That was fun. I really like this practice. If you don't know what I'm doing, this is a mindfulness practice that I kind of make my own. Basically, you just squiggle on a line and you're not supposed to look at it. And I was kind of looking at it back and forth as I was giving the intro. So I do it during the intro just to get the squiggly line. I look at it, I don't look at it, whatever. I'm gonna color it in with these crayons as I talk for fun. Because having fun and playing is some of the most important stuff. And I think it also just helps me focus. I don't know. I'm doing it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about identifying pain points. And this is kind of like my backstory on what the Immaculate Mindset is, because I realize that I'm not telling the story enough, I think. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's what we're talking about. But this is my story about how I came up with the Immaculate Mindset inner compass, and it's how I found my pain points that I was unaware of, which was crazy. So if you don't know me, I am not just Allie Amac McGuire who doesn't have any of the answers. I am also a platinum, which way? You see it. You see the platinum record back there. I'm a platinum award-winning mix engineer and vocal producer. And I've been in the music industry for 16 years. I've also been a live sound engineer. I've toured many places in the world. And I've worked with a lot of cool artists. I've worked with Fetty Wap, Post Malone, Joji, Murda Beats, Lizzo, Kelly Rowland, Shorty Shorty, to name a few. I still have a hard time bigging myself up on this stuff. And about 2.5 years ago, in June 2023, I had what I call a devastating burnout. And I basically had to walk away from my entire career that I had worked, my whole life for. And I had to figure out why I couldn't stop burning out, why I couldn't stop overworking. A lot of this happened in the music industry while I was doing this career, but this was my life that I had been trying to figure out what was going on with me, because I lived my dreams, right? And I was resentful of them. I was not happy. Nothing was enough. I needed more and more and more. And eventually, I was full. I was full of all the things I had been pushing down for my whole life. And I didn't know that I was even going to search for my pain points. At that point in time, I would have told you that I probably knew what they were, but I did not. But I just knew after I had this devastating burnout and was I can't do this anymore, that I had to deal with myself. And when you've been running from your pain your whole life, So you've been running from your pain points, right? The way that you actually find them is to sit and not move. And that was really hard for me. All I've been doing is moving my whole life from one thing to the next. Get this success, gain more, stay distracted, because eventually you're gonna get to where you wanna be, and that's gonna solve all your problems. But then I worked so hard and got to those places, and then shocker, it didn't solve any of my problems. So I made this intention that I was going to deal with whatever came up as it came up, kind of have no expectations for it. And I thought I was only going to take off work for like 2 weeks, and then it became 2 months, and then it just kind of became forever. And that's okay. I really, really like where I am right now. I'm really excited to be sharing all of this with you, these experiences. But yeah, I didn't know where it was going to take me. I just knew that I didn't want to live the way I was living anymore. And when you have a devastating burnout, so a devastating burnout is the place you get to when you really have no choice. Your body puts you down and is like, if you don't take care of this, you're gonna die. And that's where I got. And a lot of me sharing everything that I went through is because I hope that anything that I share here will help you not have to get to a devastating burnout, to make changes that you need to or you want to make in your life. I had a kid ask me one time, do you think if you teach this to me that I can just avoid all pain in my life? And of course not. Of course not. This is life. Life is difficult and things are going to come at you. Experiences you never had throughout your entire life. So of course you're going to go through things. But my idea is that if I tell you this, it's kind of like having to touch the stove to know that it's hot, right? So I'm hoping that I share this with you and you only have to touch the stove one time to understand that that's hot and you shouldn't do it anymore. But for me, I had to touch the stove about 50 times. In fact, I liked the pain, right? And yeah, I'm hoping to help people not have to hurt themselves so much or live in this hurt that they've become comfortable with. So I have this devastating burnout. I walk away from my career. I don't know that I'm walking away from my career. And I mean, when it's a devastating burnout, it means that I hate the thing that I love. I couldn't go into the studio. I couldn't do music. I had no idea if I was ever going to do music again in my life. I had no idea what the point of anything was or what I was doing. It was kind of like I was like a blank slate with no idea where to turn. And, I'm not gonna lie to you, it got pretty dark. Maybe some of the darkest it had ever got in my life, and I'd call that a dark night of the soul for sure. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I mean, I did when I was younger, but I stopped smoking cigarettes a long time ago. But I was so depressed and messed up that I was buying packs of cigarettes and I was just driving on the freeway for hours. Most of the time just listening to the Jelly Roll song, I Need a Favor. And what he basically says in this song is, I only talk to God when I need a favor, and God, I need a favor. And I'm just driving, smoking cigarettes, not understanding what the point of life was, and calling my friends who I can trust with this kind of vulnerability. And I'm also trying to really practice vulnerability. And my friend says, Allie, I think you need to watch this TED Talk from this woman, Brene Brown. And I had never heard of Brene Brown before this moment in time. So a couple weeks later, I finally decide I'm gonna watch this TED Talk, where Brene Brown is a shame researcher, among many things that she's become. If you're familiar with Brene Brown, you get it. If you're not, you should go read everything she's ever written. It's incredible stuff. And all of it has made a huge impact on me. And I watched this TED Talk, and it was my first aha moment. It was my first pain point understanding. So why I share my story, right? Why I wrote a workbook, why I put together everything that I went through is because of this moment and then many more moments that followed. But because somebody else sharing their story made a pain point click for me, and I was open to it. So sharing your story is so important, I feel, because we all connect to different things differently. Some people will connect to that and be like, oh, just like me, my aha moment. Somebody might connect to this and have their aha moment, one of them. There are many of them. And when you're open to it, it's identifying these things for yourself. And in this moment, when she talks about shame, I have no idea how I thought about shame prior to that. But I realized that I was carrying shame from people who weren't me, people who put shame on me, and then I carried it on my back as if it was my own. And that's when I realized that I was trying to be successful in music. Like, why I thought the outward stuff was going to work for me was because I was searching for my worth inside of this. Like, if I'm successful at this thing, especially this thing that nobody thinks I can be successful at, then I will have shown my worth and that I am worthy. And that was just like a huge moment for me. And so after that moment, I read every Brene Brown book that there was, which I'm telling you, read them. Please read them. This is not a paid advertisement. And I just, like I said, I was open to letting everything come as it did. And I just wanted to gain more information, and I think at this point in time, I'm definitely still trying to fix myself. I learned later down the line that there's nothing to fix. And, I love reading books now just because I love aha moments and having a deeper understanding of myself and other people. And it's really not like about that I'm reading these books to try to fix myself. Like, healing is not about fixing yourself. It is about learning to enjoy your life even when it's hard, to be grateful, to allow yourself to go through things. So, I'm learning all of this stuff, and I'm also crying a lot. And that was like a newer thing for me, to be honest. But during this time, I actually got an opportunity to speak at Stanford. And I had been working towards becoming a motivational speaker. That was like the beginning of this journey. And the girl who booked me for this speech said to me, I know you're going through this moment in time, Allie. And so you can speak on whatever you want to speak on. You don't have to come in and talk about mixing records. And honestly, like, that's one of the greatest gifts anyone's ever given me, because it gave me the opportunity to explore myself deeper. And I didn't even know that at the time, right? So I had about, 5 months to write this speech, and I had no idea what I was going to talk about. But as I'm going through this, and still, it took me months to read all of Brene Brown's work, I eventually got to the part where she talks about values and finding your core values, and how you never go into a room alone if you know your core values. So I wrote, at this point in time, I was in my anger phase, so I wrote like a little expose on the music industry, but then I was going to turn it into like a really positive speech to give at Stanford about how to navigate the music industry by knowing your core values. And I wrote what I'm calling this expose. And when I did that, I had my friend read it. And she said, "Allie, this is really good, but in here you never talk about how you went against your values." And I'm gonna call that an aha moment, but that was a you are now broken in half moment. Because so my core values are authenticity and growth. And look, anyone who knows me is gonna tell you AMAC has been AMAC I've been AMAC to the best of my ability all of the time. Like, being authentic, being myself, that's what I came here for. And I was always trying to grow, I was trying to grow in my career, learn new things, become successful. And that was the moment when I understood that I didn't love myself enough. And that's why I stayed in all of these toxic situations. That's why I let people disrespect me. And that's when I had to start to dig deeper. And through all of this, I continued to read more books, do more research, take more classes. I was, really getting into spirituality and all of that as well. And through this process of learning and searching and, asking myself questions, I came up with whys. This was the beginning of the inner compass. So if I was still living in my values, how was I finding myself in these toxic situations, in these situations that weren't good for me? Well, because I was driven by my ego instead of my purpose. So my ego whys and my purpose whys. And as we talked about a little earlier, my ego whys were proving people wrong and searching for my worth. And because I was driven more by my ego, and my purpose whys are impact and joy, and they were still there. Music brought me joy, brings other people joy. I wanted to have impact around the world. But my ego is so in front, my insecurities were so in front that it didn't matter what I was doing. Because I was trying to get to this outward goal that was gonna fix everything. So I could take the hits and I could keep going, and I knew how to be yelled at, I knew how to be disrespected, I knew how to keep going. And that ties a lot into my childhood, and you get comfortable with those things. It's what you think you deserve. And I'll get more into that another time. and in my insecurities, and that's how I didn't love myself enough, because I didn't realize my worth was inherent, that I was enough. I didn't have this belief that that if I found other places that respected me, that brought me more joy, that brought other people more joy, that had more impact, that I led in my purpose, I didn't allow the space to find those situations because I had to get to this outward success so bad. I was led by my insecurities. Identifying pain points. Know your values, your whys, broken down into your purpose and your ego. And then your whats, which are what you do for your values and your whys. Watching this YouTube video is a what? Are you here in your purpose or your ego? And does this YouTube channel align with your values? Everything you do is a what? So see, we're building the compass here. And so we can run it through whatever you're in, whether you're in a meeting or you're in a job interview, or you're the person doing the job interview. And you can see, like, why am I here? Why is this person here? Do we align in values? Do they align values with this company? In relationships, friendships? You can evaluate all of this with the compass. Help find your pain points. And then you have your hows, which is how you think, act, and feel. And I think I was reading a book by Joe Dispenza at the time when I realized the hows, how you think, act, and feel. And like, he's not saying like exactly that. It's just how I related it to my life. And also, any of these books that I read, any of these people and stuff, I'm not telling you to take everyone at their word. I just took what felt right to me and like threw it in my life to try to put put all the pieces together for myself. So make sure you're just trying to put the pieces together for yourself. And that's what the Amaculent Mindset is about too. This isn't about you working like inside my structure. I just built this structure to hopefully help you figure out what your structure is. And so how you think, act, and feel though. I'm really liking this one. I can't wait to show it to you. But all right, so I always like to use the idea that we're going into a collaborative session. It could be anything. I always use the studio because I know the studio. But how am I thinking before I go into this session? I'm observing myself, my thoughts. Like, am I nervous? Am I scared? Do I want to... Like, am I thinking good thoughts about the people that I'm gonna go work with? Like, what am I thinking? And how am I feeling? Like, how does my body feel? Am I tense? Am I loose? Like, is there anything stirring around in my gut? And then how am I acting? How am I acting prior to getting there? And then how am I acting inside of this place? How am I thinking inside of this place? How am I feeling inside of this place? And when you get to acting though, it's like, am I acting as myself? Am I living into my values? Or am I changing because of the situation that I'm in? And the hows can really help you determine whether something is just challenging or whether it's unsafe. And I put these things together, and that's what I talked about at Stanford. It was called Finding Your Guides and the Realities of the Music Industry. But it was how to navigate the music industry by knowing yourself. And then I talked, hindsight is 2020, about what I went through and how I could actually see that this compass was always inside of me, but I was unaware of it. And kind of like busting this open and becoming aware of it has been the greatest gift of my life. Because now when I'm doing anything, I'm running it through my compass. I'm aware, like, is this in my ego? Why am I not doing this? Why am I doing this? Is it in my purpose? Am I aligned with my values? Is this person aligned with my values? Like, why does my body feel like this? I'm not like even outwardly asking myself these questions all the time. Sometimes. But this is how I can really like get down to what is really going on with you here. Is this about a past situation or what's happening in the present? Are you anxious for the future? And it's helped me identify so many of my pain points and then also push through them. What also happens in the house is that we talk about communication. We talk about your attachment style. I'm an anxious attachment. Becoming aware of that and how you've interacted with people before in your life. Mind-blowing. It helps you correct. And again, nothing to fix, but that you can see, like, that you can communicate. It's just so important to communicate. Your stress responses, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, all of that stuff, becoming aware of it, why you're doing it, when you're doing it. And I built this thing, and I wrote this workbook, and I wrote this album that helps me every single day continue to identify pain points. The 3 pillars of it are awareness, accountability, and curiosity. Holding myself accountable all the time. It's annoying. I hate it. But I also love it. Look, you can't heal from things that you can't see. The inner compass helps me see the things that I can't see. And look, I still have realizations from things that happened, a couple years ago, and being like, I can see what I was doing right there and why I was doing it. And I really wish that I would have known how to communicate what that was back then. But, I can't go back. I can only move forward. And yeah, the inner compass, again, it just continues to help me identify pain points, and it helps me stay aligned with who I am, make decisions based on who I am, and not like all the chatter from everyone else, all that shame that I used to carry that wasn't mine. I don't carry it anymore. Some of that stuff still comes up. I imagine that it's gonna come up repeatedly throughout my life, but I'm aware of it. So I get to observe it, say what's up to it, meet it, say, what are you doing here? Or what am I supposed to learn from you here? And the compass helps me do that. I don't know if this was a great explanation of this at all, but I really kind of just wanted to get into a bit more of my story. And I always say that I don't have the answers because I'm not here to be a guru. I just want to share my story, and I want to help you have your own story. I talk about the music industry and stuff a lot, but I went from, I didn't love myself. When I talk about I didn't love myself enough, I didn't love myself at all. But now I love my life so much, and creating something new is so exciting. I'm so grateful for the experiences I've had in my life, but I don't want to have them again. I'm ready to have this new journey. And if any of you are still here, thanks for being along for the ride. It's not easy to be a human. It's tough a lot of the time, and we come into this world with baggage that isn't ours. And if we don't have people who teach us that it's not ours, if we don't have people who have secure attachments and they aren't aware of their stuff, well, we pick it up and carry it for them. Until one day we realize, like, I already got enough stuff to carry that's mine. Becoming aware is like aware and accountable and curious. We stay curious. I've got to keep being curious. There's always more things to uncover. And again, not to like fix myself. I just want to know myself. I want to make decisions for myself and experience this beautiful life, not living it for anybody else. So yeah, that's building the inner compass and then expressing myself through music and through writing the workbook and speeches and sharing this with you. This is how I continue to find my pain points. And I shouldn't have just said this is about finding your pain points, right? It's also about building solutions unique to you. And I built solutions unique to myself through identifying this stuff. It's not just saying, oh, there's something wrong with me here. Oh, here's this pain point. All right. Well, like, how do we go about doing that in the way that we really want to do it? So, all right, because I talked about this, I want to read before I hop off here the 15-second pitch I have for the Amaculent Mindset. The Amaculent Mindset is a The Amaculent Mindset is a transformational support system that helps you uncover your pain points and build solutions unique to you, blending storytelling, art, therapeutic techniques, community, and education to give you the tools to build life your way. And I say that because that is actually what this whole video has been about. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm figuring it out. What is this? This is my fourth let's take a minute video. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm hoping you're loving it. And yeah, I think that's it for this week. I'm so like, all right, I know. You're like, what are you talking about? This is what we got this week. I love it. Oh, I love these, and I love the crayons. If any of you would like help in identifying your pain points and creating unique solutions for you, incorporating art, storytelling, and all of this stuff, I would really love to chat with you and talk about how I could help. I think that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for being here on the Amaculent Mindset, the most perfectly imperfect place on the internet. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe so we can get it to more people. I'm really grateful for your time, for your presence. Enjoy your life. Be yourself. I'll see you next time.